Hey guys, JB here, the Wolf of Wall Street. It's a monumental day here. It's my first podcast, right? Number one. So I'm really nervous. No, I'm not nervous, but I'm actually, listen, I'm thrilled because I've been threatening to do this for about 2 years now. And I've been on a ton of other people's podcasts, but this is awesome because I get to actually interview and find out about other people share their stories versus me always telling my story. I think everyone knows my story at this point, right? But anyway, there's a reason why this man, Dan Fleyshman, is sitting in front of me, and he's the first person. Listen, there's not a lot of people in the world that I go to for advice. Seriously, I've never been one to have people like that. I've never had gurus, but I was always like sort of a guy who read stuff. I picked stuff up by self-research. I didn't really go to people. There's like 4 people in the world that I go to, and I have certain questions on certain topics, and I go to the real expert. Dan is one of those 4 people. For those of you in the influencer space, online marketing, Dan's like, everyone knows Dan. Dan's a legend, right? But for those of you outside of that, you might not know Dan, because he specializes in a certain aspect of business, and he's the best at what he does by far. Couple of quick points here before we get started, just to give you some background, right? Dan's is congruent with me. He's the youngest person, right? The youngest person to ever list a company on a stock exchange. He's like 22,
23, yeah.
23 years old, right? He started his first business. He was like 2 years old now. He's like, he was a baby. He's a serial entrepreneur, right? And rather than me go through, I'm going to let, just Dan tell his story here. I'll ask him some questions. But listen, it's a casual format, right? But I just want to, number one, thank you. Because frankly, guys, we would not be even having this podcast now if it wasn't for Dan. Because I had a lot of different companies coming at me, wanting me to do this. And so I spoke to Dan, and he said, this is the one we're using on Cast Media, right? With Colin, is awesome. And he really helped me get this started. Even brought his crew today. Thank you guys, really, for helping me get everything lit properly. I have a great crew myself, but these guys are experts, so it's all great. So Dan, thank you. You're awesome.
I'm honored, excited to be here for podcast number 1.
It's great. So now, why don't you quickly just so everyone gets, just give the quick background about what you do right now.
So the fast forward version is I trademarked the catchphrase, "Who's your daddy?" back when I was in high school for 300 different products. By 19 years old, I licensed it out for $9.5 million just in the UK. I opened up showrooms in New York at the Empire State Building, at warehouses in LA, and I'm 18, 19 years old.
Just wait. I don't. But we do have a story.
Oh, we do.
So
lots of good stories today.
There's a story here that you guys are gonna die because there's a guy who actually was one of Dan's early mentors.
Yep.
He was in the book, The Wolf of Wall Street. He's a total wild man. Elliot Levine. So
yeah, we'll definitely get into that. You're gonna like
we'll get into that.
So next 4 or 5 years, I do clothing. We do tens of millions of dollars in revenue selling clothing all around the world. 23 years old, I decided I want to go public in the stock market so I can launch an energy drink under the same brand name because all the 900 drinks in the market tasted like cough syrup. Right. That thick cough syrup taste to them. So we set out to make the best tasting energy drink. Within a year, we were already in a couple thousand stores, and we won flavor of the year. The next year 2, I didn't sleep for the next 3 years. It was all a blur. I got us into 55,000 retail stores in America, just knocking the doors down, doing all the sales myself, just going to.
So you were going door to door, to stores or to distributors?
Both. So I got us 43 distributors: Budweiser, Coors, Miller, and Pepsi. And at the same time, I would go out there and go do sales to 7-Eleven, Costco, Ralph's, Albertsons, while I was in those cities. And I would get in the cars with these guys, what's called ride-alongs, and I would go to all the stores and open up the retail accounts in every single city.
Right.
I'd bring girlfriends, friends, anybody that could get into a car and go help me sell. And we got into 55,000 stores.
Wow.
So all I care about is sales. That's why I love your sales program, the straight line, because all I care about is sales. Everything else is talk. Right. So then 27, after the 10-year anniversary from doing the company from high school, I decided I was going to resign from the company so I could start and have another feather in my cap. Because I'd done the same brand for 10 years. Right. So I started an online poker site. Within 10 months, we're the 3rd biggest poker brand in the world out of 550 sites. I signed Dan Bilzerian, DJ Steve Aoki.
It was awesome, by the way.
Playboy Playmates, Poker Pros. It was so much fun.
And it was that, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, right, wow. Okay.
So this is right when social media is really getting started. And so I'm literally installing social media on these guys' phones and on these, getting Playboy Playmates, Poker Pros, Bilzerian, Aoki, all of these people together and making YouTube content that's getting tens of millions of views back then.
Right.
So we do that for a couple of years, and then boom, online poker shut down in America.
What year was that now when that happened? Like 2000?
2010, 11.
Okay.
So it was a day called Black Friday, April 15th. And my competitors, they did some really bad stuff.
Right.
So all of a sudden, 16 bank accounts all over the world are seized. Even in non-treaty countries, they just take billions of dollars from these other poker sites. I, by default, become the #1 poker brand in the world.
Right.
I don't want to win that way. So I don't want the government looking at me. So I closed down, paid back tens of thousands of people in the next 4 days, and I became
Which is probably a rarity when that happened. I don't think anyone
Yes.
else besides you did that, right?
Yeah. So I became a hero in the space,
Right.
and it helped me sleep at night.
Right.
And so it also, even though it cost me tens of millions of dollars to make that decision, it also helped change my life in a good way. I became the consultant for 4 land-based casinos and for Morgan Stanley. So that helped me financially, emotionally, mentally, to not sit on the floor and cry about losing a humongous company overnight. I decided I'm going to go out and do this. So it also made me realize I never wanted to have all my eggs in one basket ever again. I became an angel investor. So I've since invested into 32 different companies, and I started a social media agency.
Right, which is, by the way, I mean, how many people, of the influencers that are in your so-called stable, right? How many people do they control? What's the total number of people you can reach?
There's like a core 600 influencers that we use, and they have well over 2.5 billion followers. Some of it's overlapping, so it's probably 1.5 billion total, but basically half the free world is watching them. Anybody with a cell phone is watching them.
I want to definitely dig into that a bit later on. I want to go back for 1 second here. So let's start back for this public market stuff. So first of all, which exchange did you go public on? Was it NASDAQ and the Bulletin Board or the NMS?
We were on OTC, but we're a fully reporting company.
Got it.
And
So
So we're the longest fully reporting company on there. We weren't a pink sheet.
Which means that he's actually filing documents with the SEC.
We had actual revenues.
Right. And who did you go? Did you merge into? Did you a reverse merger into a shell? Or you went public straight?
We did a reverse merger to a Canadian shell.
Right.
Called Snow Cone Systems, and we paid off all their debts in advance so that we wouldn't have a toxic financing situation.
Right.
And it was interesting because there's so many moving parts to it, and I was a baby. I was 22, 23 years old. We spent $2 million on legal fees, like pulling my hair out, like, what do I do? And I'm trying to focus on the business, but it was the best and most interesting time of my life.
Right. Just so you got anyone's confused about what that really means. Very simple. When you merge into a shell, so there's 2 ways to go public. Right. One is through a straight IPO where you go to an underwriter.
Yep.
Like Stratton was, right? And they take you public. And the other way is to find a company that's already public, but that is kind of a fallen angel. So they're really not in business anymore, but the shell, the entity itself is public, and then you essentially back into that and you become public that way, right?
Like they're a phone company that they had a lot of debt. They were still existing with revenue, but we came in, we'll clear all your debt, change the name to us. Everybody's happy. At least you guys make some money and you can walk away.
And how'd you come up with the idea of going, what was like the impetus for going public?
There was some investment bankers that just liked the business and the fact that we had real revenue. We had millions of dollars of revenue in the UK. We had millions of dollars in revenue in the apparel space. We were getting lots of licensing revenue from barbecue sets and all different things because we own this trademark all over the world. And so they just looked at us and like, you guys know how to do marketing and you have NASCARs with Who's Your Daddy on it. You're getting these chain stores, like that's a story that we can tell, but back it up with real revenue. There's a lot of public companies that are just a story. Like you watch Wolf of Wall Street and be like, there's a lot of stories, right? A lot of companies just had stories. We had story and brand, but we also backed up with real revenue. And that's what made us do so well.
Got it. All right, stamps.com. I got to tell you, I absolutely love this product. Want to know why? Because I can't stand going to the post office. Traffic, the parking, the lines. Who has time for all that, right? Not to mention, can you imagine me actually going to the post office and waiting in line to mail something? I mean, good Lord, not that I'm above it or anything, but if you want to see the wolf bare his fangs, send me to the post office and let me watch a bunch of well-meaning civil servants working at the speed of a sea slug, probably on heroin, by the way, as they punch the clock and wait for their pension to kick in. I mean, listen, I love my mailman, seriously. He's the coolest guy ever, so it's nothing about civil service, but, I mean, he comes to me, right? Not the other way around. See, the bottom line is that time is money, and I'll be damned if I'm going to waste my time, and hence my money, by standing in line at the post office as if we're back in the 1990s, when you had to do that. Business owners like me had no other choice. Well, now you don't. See, with Stamps.com, you can be just like me. Scary thought, by the way, but in this case, you never have to go to the post office again. It's enough to make you want to do the Macarena, seriously, right? And the fact is you'll also be receiving discounts that you simply can't get at the post office. It's the proverbial icing on the cake. You know what we call that in Wall Street? We call that a no-brainer, meaning you don't need to use any brain power to make this decision. It's that obvious. You raise your profits, lower your overhead, happy days, bottom line. So Stamps.com, they bring all the amazing services of the U.S. Post Office right to your computer. So whether you're a small office sending out invoices, an online seller shipping out lots of products, or even a warehouse sending out thousands of packages a day, Stamps.com can handle all of that with ease. Stamps.com, They bring the post office to your office. And right now, my listeners, you're all getting a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale with no long-term commitment. That's some cool stuff, right? Just go to stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in Wolf, capital W-O-L-F, right? That's stamps.com, enter W-O-L-F for Wolf, and I promise you, you will be very glad you did. Indochino custom menswear. Let's talk for a second about your wardrobe, all right? You've all heard the expression, clothes make the man, right? Of course you have, right? Everyone knows that looking good is important, especially in business, but not just for business, for life, right? I mean, you don't want to look like a schlap, right? I mean, if you want to make a great first impression on anyone, just feel good about yourself when you walk around, right? You gotta be dressing for success. Dress your best, period. End of story. Self-confidence goes up, which makes you feel more charismatic. People treat you better, and your life starts to improve immediately. It seriously does. I'm a big proponent of this, right? And in business, forget about it. Looking sharp and being well-groomed is paramount. Show up looking like a schlub, you're going nowhere in life. You know that's true. So what's the height of men's fashion today? A suit, right? Yeah, it is for sure, right? You want to impress anyone, you want to be treated with respect, you wear a suit. Simple as that. But not just any suit. Off the rack potato sack has to fit you just right, or you're looking like you're rolled out of the garbage. I mean, I remember I had this guy in my office wear like this crazy ill-fitting suit and just laughing at the guy, right? What you need is a custom tailored suit from the most exciting company in menswear today, Indochino. Seriously, an Indochino custom tailored suit will have you looking like a movie star. I'm not kidding here. And it won't break your bank either. You're ready for the red carpet. Seriously, like I was, right? You have to start entering restaurants from the back door just to avoid the paparazzi. Probably not, but hey, sounds good, right? Indochino makes suits and shirts to your exact measurements for an unmatched fit and unmatched comfort. You getting married anytime soon? Guess what? Indochino can outfit your entire wedding party. Pretty cool, right? They got a huge selection, a wide variety of high-quality fabrics, colors, and this is my favorite part. You ready for this? You can even customize your suit. Personalize your lapel, the lining, the pockets, buttons. You can even add your own monogram. And I have a wolf stitched on mine, obviously, with some really cool buttons. There's nothing like a great-fitting men's suit. And it's super easy to do. Here's what you do. You can either visit a stylist at one of over 40 showrooms and they'll measure you up. That's pretty cool to measure you for a suit. You feel like, I'm important, right? Like, what's that Thomas Crown affair, right? Or you can just shop online at Indochino.com, all right? That's pretty cool too. Save time, just go online, get your suit, set your measurements. That's unbelievable. You choose your fabric, both inside and out. You choose your design, you submit it with your measurements, and bam, you sit back and relax while your suit gets professionally tailored and mailed to you in a couple of weeks. All right? Talk about being important. I mean, you're like an important person. I mean, it feels really, really good. Anyway, this week, my listeners, they're going to get any premium Indochino suit for just $359 at Indochino.com when you enter Wolf at the checkout. That's 50% off. 50% off the regular price for a made-to-order, made-to-measure premium men's suit, plus the shipping is free. That's unheard of. It really is unheard of. That's Indochino.com, promo code WOLF, W-O-L-F, for any premium suit for just $359 with free shipping. I mean, honestly, it's an incredible deal for a custom-tailored suit. Unheard of. And once you go custom, you will never go back. That's the bottom line. You got to do this. Just try one, and believe me, you'll be very, very glad you did. So so now we have an old friend in common, Elliot Levine, right?
Yeah.
So was this before you met Elliot or after?
So no, I met him fresh out of high school.
All right,
I was 18 years old.
Let me quickly explain who Elliot Levine is.
You're gonna want to hear the story.
Elliot Levine is was one of my early mentors / devils in my life. I met Elliot for the first time. I told you this story, right? We were in Nassau, Bahamas,
Yep.
right? And I'm 23, just started Stratton. And Elliot, I walk in, my partner, the blockhead from the movie, right? He's like, you got to see this guy in the casino. Check him out. I run into the casino, and there I see this young guy, about 35, right? Good-looking guy. and he's got about $700,000 in poker chips. He's betting $10,000 a hand. This is back in 1988. So it's unheard of, right? And his wife, is a blonde woman, Ellen, skinny as a rail. She's wearing a sequin, and she's wearing a sequin shirt with an ace of spades and a jack of diamonds. It's like, I couldn't believe these people even existed, right? So next day I meet him at the pool, and of course we become great friends. And Elliot was the sort of guy, I mean, he was the king of vices, basically, right?
Yes.
But also incredibly brilliant, right?
Well, his pedigree was amazing. He had one of the best fashion, I think it might be the best fashion resume of all time. He was the CEO of Donna Karan, CEO of Perry Ellis, and then CEO of Jordache when I met him. Like, think about those brands. These are multi-billion-dollar companies. I mean, he was driving around his house in a golf cart, like 16,000 square feet in the Hamptons. Like, he was the legend in the fashion space. He was.
So, you know, I met him the first time we had lunch in the garment center, right?
Yeah.
First of all, the guy had a massive coke habit, massive, right? But he was so amazing with it. Like, he used to carry around this little billet, right, with coke, and he had a Perry Ellis collar stay in the middle, right? And like, we'd be out in like a crowded restaurant. There'd be 5 DEA agents around. Like, you know, the police. He'd be like, so anyway, you go like, did you just do coke? He's like, it was like a magic trick. It was like, if David Copperfield did coke, that's how he would do it. Like, right? It was like unbelievable, right? So, but he had this like incredible person. Talk about like a influencer, right?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I remember that day, some billionaire from the garment center walks in. He walks right up to the guy. He takes a knife off the table, a steak knife, and he cuts the guy's tie off, right? He goes, you can't be seen. That thing takes this and gives the guy, that was Elliot, right?
Yeah. My very first time meeting him. So it was all by chance. I had a booth at a clothing convention at Magic. I see somebody that runs the convention called ASR in San Diego.
Right.
That's going to be in 3 days from now. You got to normally get a booth 3 to 6 months in advance. I convinced the guy to give me a booth, and he's like, only space I have is right by the registration. I think I'm a genius. I'm like, oh, registration? All 40,000 people have to come by and see me. Yeah, 3 hours later, you don't see them for 4 days because you never have to go back to registration. So my booth is quiet for 4 days. But the booth next to me is Calvin Klein. The president of Calvin Klein, whose name was Carlos Vasquez, was working inside of Elliot's office. So I make friends with this guy. He's like, oh, if you ever come out to New York, make sure to come look me up. Literally the night the convention ended, I flew to New York on a red eye, beating him there. And I was waiting for him at his office the next day. Okay. I was a baby. I was 18 years old. He walks in. He's like, what the fuck? And Mary J. Blige is walking by. Diddy's there. Like, it's the CEO of Macy's is there. Like, it's like happening, right?
No, I get it. Yeah.
Because Elliot had just bought Fubu Ladies. So Fubu was hot at the time. He did 110 million in revenue in 18 months with Fubu Ladies.
No, I remember,
like, mind-boggling stuff.
So talented. He really, honestly, the most talented and also most self-destructive person I've ever met in my life. Even more so than I was in my head. He really was. Gambling, like, you remember Vice? He was the master of the Vice. I remember when I first, he had me pitching quarters. $10,000. $10,000. Right.
So I go to this office. Carlos, he was like, look, you're going to meet Elliot. You're going to get 5 minutes at best. He's got ADD. He's got so much shit going on. You're not going to get to talk to him. I go in there. We meet for 4.5 hours because he's just blown away by the whole concept of the story. And I'm like his little mini him.
By the way, Elliot was the sort of guy, he was like my height, 5'6", 5'7", right? 130 pounds dripping wet.
Right.
But this guy had the best fashion sense. Like, he could wear a diaper and a bow tie. You say, wow, that's the latest thing. It's like, he could pull it off, the guy.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
So during those 4.5 hours, he's teaching me about real estate, like what's called a store within a store inside of Macy's and Nordstrom's and all these chain stores. He's calling up chain stores for me. We don't have a deal yet. He's calling up chain stores for me. The CEO of Macy's East comes inside. They're supposed to have lunch. He blows them off. He's like, no, you're going to be working for Dan Fleyshman one day. The president of Sean John walks in, Jeff Tweedy, same thing. Like, it was just mind-blowing. No, and I'm 18 at the time.
He was a force of nature.
It was unreal. Yeah. So we end up becoming like this whole crazy conglomerate with DMX and Puff Daddy and Kevin Garnett, the NBA player. We formed this whole corporation together with all these clothing lines. It was magical. It was wild.
So that's now what year now?
Got to be like 1999, 2000, 2001 range.
So, Elliot, so he also was responsible for Steve Madden's success. So that was, everyone knows the Steve Madden. Yeah. So, but Steve was sober at that already by that point. But I was using Elliot as an advisor to really structure, and as you just said, the store within a store concept, right? That was the whole thing that launched Steve Madden.
Every single Steve Madden window in the world had Hooja Daddy shirts in it.
Really?
He made a store within a store. in the windows, and he made a $46. This is way too high for our shirts. He made a $46 shirt. So our margin was insane, right? Because our shirts cost us $3.20 to make. He made a $46 shirt to be in every Steve Madden window in the world, and he made him keep it up for a year. Most of the time you get the window for like a week.
Right.
He made him keep it up for a year, and we did like an extra $7 million in revenue just from Steve Madden windows.
Oracle NetSuite, let me tell you something. If you're in any kind of business, no matter what that business is, if you're not on top of your numbers, then your numbers are on top of you, literally crushing you into oblivion. I don't seem dramatic here. It's just the way that it is. There's no way around it. Your numbers are your business. They have to add up. You have to keep a vigilant watch on every single one of them if you want to survive. I mean, guys, I got to tell you, I've run into this exact problem more times than I can remember with my own business. If you're not watching your numbers like a hawk, I'm talking about your sales figures, your revenues, your overhead, your inventory, all of it. You're not going to be in business very long. So what happens? What do you do? Well, you take action, you try to get a handle on this issue, and you end up with one system to track your inventory, another for your sales, one for your customer database, and so on. And none of them are integrated. None of them talk to each other. And they end up causing you more frustration and hassle than they're worth. And don't forget, you're also paying for every one of these services. It's like you're paying these people to drive you crazy. It's totally ridiculous. And don't forget, you're also paying for all these different services, right? It's like you're paying people to drive you crazy. Doesn't make much sense. Well, Oracle NetSuite solves this whole issue for you in one swift swoop. Let me tell you something. Oracle NetSuite is the business management software that handles every aspect of your business in an easy-to-use cloud-based platform, giving you the visibility and the control that you need to grow. Bottom line. See, with NetSuite, you save time, you save money, and you totally avoid those unneeded headaches by managing your sales, financing, and accounting, orders, everything right from your desktop or phone on one platform. That kind of comprehensive convenience and ease of use is why NetSuite is the world's #1 cloud-based business system. Seriously, they're #1. Thousands of the world's best-known brands all use NetSuite to manage their business, and now it's available to you. From day one, you learn how to optimize processes, drive operational excellence, sell across more channels, and a whole lot more. Pretty sweet, right? Now, right now, NetSuite's offering you valuable insights with a free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits at netsuite.com/WOLF. That's netsuite.com/wolf. Again, you download your free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits. netsuite.com/wolf. You should do this for sure. Let me ask you, going back to the public offering, so something that I think a lot of people don't know is that when you take a company public like you did, sometimes it could be great. It also could be your biggest regret. Like it's not always like people say, I want to go public. It's not always great. And I was just wondering, I never even asked you this, but how did that, in the end of the day, I'm sure you learned either way you learned massive lessons,
Absolutely.
But would you have done it again or not? Was it a winner? Was it a loser? Was it a disaster?
I think what was interesting, I would have done it again at the time. It's very expensive. It's like I said, 2 years and $2 million for a normal situation.
Right.
If you have anything complicated, it's much more.
Right.
The people that did it, their structuring I wouldn't have done, but I didn't know anything different.
Right.
Like, so they took advantage, and I ended up paying them $4.2 million to walk away.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's pretty common with the shell, because when you buy a shell, when you merge, so you have all the old problems that come with the shell.
Yes.
So if there's any fraud against the old company, or sometimes new shares just magically appear,
Which they did.
Right.
We had to have what's called a catcher's mitt, meaning like sometimes shares would all of a sudden 60,000 shares just got sold.
Yeah.
We're like, who had 60,000 shares, and we had to go buy it.
Which is a disaster for a small company like that.
For sure.
It's like you're trying to make sure your price stays stable because you can use your stock for acquisitions and whatnot. And if 60,000 shares hits the market, it's a disaster. Yeah.
And especially when you don't expect it or don't know, there's no warning. So like our stock would range from 65 cents to $1.60 in that world. So let's call it a dollar average.
Right.
And so sometimes all of a sudden we'd see a block of shares come in, our stock go from $1 down to 42 cents. We're like,
And everyone's supposed to be locked up, and you get fucked so bad in this stuff, right? It's like when you the first time, it's like they say, come on, Dan.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's your first time. Oh yeah, great, congratulations, right? And they just basically bend you over, right? So you spend your whole time recovering from shares raining down on you, right?
Yes. So I ended up getting this mentor, 73-year-old guy that he was kind of like the king of that world back in the day, named James Morse.
Who I know, by the way. Yeah.
And
he's not around anymore.
No, he passed away. He passed away in front of me.
Right.
Yeah,
So tell me that. All right, so let's hear that.
Okay. So
he was a major player, that guy.
oh yeah, he had yachts in Ibiza and the whole. He was that guy, and he was a legend. So, quick story. One time we're in New York, a guy comes in with paperwork, and me and my friend are sitting there. He signs the paperwork, takes him like 2 minutes. The guy leaves. An hour later, after the lunch, another guy comes and he signs very similar paperwork, takes him a few minutes. He said, "Boys, I bought this building we're in for $50.4 million. I sold it to the other guy for $54.4 million before I owned the building." He's like, that's how you do business.
He bought and closed it at the same, right? $4 million profit.
Yeah. While we were sitting at a lunch that he hadn't planned.
And how old were you at the time?
I was 20 at the time.
Right. That's like that's probably a life changing. That probably changed your whole belief systems about money, right?
Yeah. So we became dear friends, and he kind of oversaw us and made sure everything was cool. And then when he realized like this is gonna get crazy, he came in and
with your company,
He came in and helped us structure it where to basically help us buy out Elliot and the whole situation. And instead, we walked away. We lost like $631,000 that we put in, but we had millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars of orders and products being shipped to Macy's and Miller's Outpost and Nordstrom's. Anyways, so fast forward like 7 months later, we're in his office, and we're with this other guy named George in Malibu. And months and months of work went into this deal where millions of dollars is going to come to us, okay, to finance the next iteration of Who's Your Daddy to upgrade.
Yep.
So that meeting had been, we'd have 5 meetings that month leading up to this one where we're actually getting the check. Like paperwork's done.
Right.
James Morris is bringing us the check. George is there. We're at his office. This is actually the old Red Bull office in Malibu. Okay. The meeting is 12 minutes into it, and we're filling out paperwork. We're laughing. We're smiling. Everybody's happy. The check gets pulled out, and it's for $5 million. Okay.
Really?
I'm selling 25% of the company, so it's a big deal.
Right.
It's $5 million in financing. James Morris has set up everything perfectly, and when I say has a heart attack, I'm talking he has a full-fledged heart attack while the check is in his hand and falls over. We think he's joking. It still haunts me to this day. We thought he was joking because it was like, ha, everybody, ha, ha. He falls over, has a full-fledged heart attack. The other guy realizes, like,
dies?
Wow, holy shit, this is real. Starts doing mouth-to-mouth and trying to resuscitate him. There's like 30 staff out there. They're stockbrokers and everybody in the other room. Investment bankers are all in the other room. They're freaking out. They call us. Ambulances come. We take him to Cedars-Sinai. We all go to Cedars-Sinai. That night at 11 o'clock, he passed away.
Wow.
I still get a little, like, it's crazy.
Wow. So what? So okay. So you never got the $5 million.
I never got the $5 million.
So what happened with what was the end result of that?
We go back to the drawing board.
Besides losing an amazing friend and mentor.
That's what really hurt me.
Right,
the business had money. We didn't actually need it. That was just to help us grow. But I'll never forget that moment in my life. So we go back to the drawing board. 5 months later, we take a smaller round of 1.5 million, and we run it up. And that's when it all went from there. And we got another 3.75.
Let me ask you a couple of questions here, right? About belief systems, right? There's one thing that sticks out about you, right? And I think we're very similar in this regard. Like my friend's dad growing up used to say, if you flush Jordan down the toilet bowl, he'll end up holding a plumber's license, right? Yep. And you're like, that's exactly how you are, right? So I mean, like if someone took away all your money today, it could take you 6 months, a year, but you make it all back, right? And that's just one that obviously pops out. I want to talk about that, but also what also pops out is that you're the sort of person, for whatever reason, like people people saw something in you and want to mentor you, and they, like someone like Elliot. I know Elliot, okay? Yeah. And it was very similar with me. He saw something in me, and I guess at that point he was a little selfish because I owned Stratton at that point. He saw a way to make money with me, right? But no, but you, it's like people recognize something in you, right? When you were young. Now you're older now, so you're probably doing that to people who are younger now, right? But back then, there was something about the way you carried yourself, the way you spoke, that made really rich, powerful people want to just say, you know what, I want to take this guy into my way. So what do you think that's about?
So a lot of people say it's about providing value. I think it's just more ego and concept of making it about them and then making them see something in me that relates to themselves.
Well, I mean, like, for instance, like Elliot probably made that decision about you in like 30 seconds.
Right. That meeting he knew was supposed to be 5 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Carlos prefaced it, said, well, you guys are meeting for 5 minutes.
So what do you think it is? What is it about you and the way you carry yourself going back to younger days, because a lot of young people are
Sure.
watching this, right? And because I have people come up to me as you do all the time. They want to be mentored. They're
Absolutely.
looking for guidance, and I love doing that.
Yep.
But sometimes someone sticks out, and
Right.
for whatever it is. What do you think it was with you? What's like? For me, I'll tell you one thing about you that I know is that you are an expert at giving value to people first.
Sure.
And you've mastered this art. Who's like that too? Joe Polish is the same way.
Right.
Joe, another good friend of mine. Joe's like, you guys go out there. It's like with me, you just give. You don't ask for anything, no agenda.
Right.
And then because of that, so that's one thing. But when you're a young kid, though, right? Was it the way you spoke with the certainty? Was it how you looked? Well, what was it? You think?
I think it was the relentless work ethic and the fact that I said everything with 100% certainty. When I talked about the clothing brand with Elliot, I talked about it like we were doing 100 million.
Right.
We were doing like 2. But 2 million to an 18-year-old is
right. And you didn't have to say that you were doing it. It was the enthusiasm, right?
Right.
The conviction in your voice.
I was like, look, we were at the clothing convention. I closed 6 department store chains. I got a licensing deal. Like, I just talked about it. Like, I got this deal. I'm going to do this. I'll fly anywhere. I'll work anywhere. I'll be here. And the fact that I flew there on a red eye the night before
right.
with no meeting. I had no meeting set up. Like, he just
I totally get it.
Yeah.
And also, like, I think
I had no return flight. I had no return flight. I was going to stay there indefinitely.
I think on some level, with people that when they're looking for young talent, I think that I speak for myself. I think this is true. Is that you're looking for someone else that might have some answers as well, like a younger generation. So like, I think a lot of young people think I'm so young. How am I going to get people to want to do business with me? But I think on some level, people want to.
Absolutely.
I want to know what the younger generation is thinking. I want to know, like, the millennials, whatever it is, generation. What do they call these? I don't even know what they're called anymore, right? But the point is, I think a lot of people, these kids have limiting beliefs, and when you're able to go out there, you just speak with conviction, right? And you I guess also the way you sold your vision to people back then, right? And the work ethic too, right?
A lot of times, what people don't realize is they have to put in the work to actually study and understand what they're talking about, and actually know that when they speak with conviction, people can tell.
Right.
There's a difference between fake conviction and actual conviction. I researched everything. I worked relentlessly. My whole life was my business. So when I talked about a retailer, a competitor, the size of the clothing or the RN number,
it was obvious that you weren't making it up, that you really knew it.
Exactly.
I think there's this fine line, right, between acting as if, which you have to do, by the way.
Sure.
But also closing the knowledge gap, like at ultra light speed. Like, so you're almost always future pacing your own, like not that you're not lying, but you're always speaking with that.
You're growing into it.
Exactly.
You're growing into your reality.
But if you're not, you better be growing in like it really, really fast. And that's, I think, what people see, And
I think that's the craziest thing to me is that people aren't trying to learn more because now you have it all at your phone.
Exactly.
I can Google anything. We could literally come up and say, you know what? I want to start selling eyelash makeup. I could be an expert in eyelash makeup in 42 minutes.
Right. I always say, like, for every business venture or idea, there's certain specialized skills you have to know or learn information. People don't do the work, like, right? And you can do it simultaneously, but at the end of the day, like in jail, I wrote this book, right? I spent 10,000 hours learning to write. Without that, it doesn't work, right?
People just aren't willing to put in that effort, and I think you can tell when somebody is. You can tell when somebody's good. Like, I stake a poker player. I get requests by hundreds of poker players for me to invest in them. It's called staking. This one kid messaged me on Twitter, and I literally moved him from Houston, Texas to Los Angeles, got him an apartment, and I staked him full time for the last 2 years. Because it was simply a direct message, but I knew that kid could win. He won the biggest tournament of all time. His name is Cord Garcia. He won the biggest tournament of all time back then, like 23,000 players. He went back to back in his hometown at two different tournaments. He's a guy that can win. A lot of people can come in 7th or 14th. I don't want to invest in that. I want a kid that's going to go for the close. But the concept was hundreds of people messaged me and one stuck out. He messaged me explaining his real life story. And he's like, look, I won almost $1 million and didn't really make anything of it because I had all these things and debts. Like, now I'm ready to work for you. Can I come work for you? I moved this human from a different state that I've never met before and got him an apartment, and I'm giving him hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time to go play poker.
So it was the way
because he stood out.
So was it written? He wrote you was it a letter or email?
He Twitter DM'd me.
Really?
Slid in my DMs.
Wow.
That's it.
So how many many young people like you manage like that's your like this whole influencer market? That's your specialty, right? How many people a day come to you looking for like to help them make me famous, make me rich?
Not an hour goes by. I get it on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. There's carrier pigeons flying in. Doesn't matter. Any way they can get to me, email. They show up at the office. They text me. You have to have it.
Give me. All right, let's talk about that. Because I think this is really it's something that it's not my specialty. I'm not the influencer market, right? I got famous the old-fashioned way, right?
Yeah.
Okay, by getting in trouble and redeeming myself, right? At least. Anyway, no. But tell me like if you have like 5-step program for any person out there who's like in their early 20s, late teens.
Easy.
Tell me the 5 steps to getting to the point where someone like you would say, I want this guy in my life. I want to help this guy.
First things first is setting up shop, meaning make an Instagram, a Facebook, a Twitter, a LinkedIn, a YouTube, a Pinterest. You make all the platforms free, and free. So many
Zero
people,
investment to do that.
Right. So many people want me to make them famous. They don't even have other platforms. They just have one. But what if one goes away? I can't make you just famous on one. I need you on everything.
Got it.
Next thing, what's your story? You got to have the same bio photo. You got to have your profile done right. You got to make you look good so that if I go get you famous, I get eyeballs on you, people want to react.
Right.
Okay.
Stop 1 second. So with that step though, right? How would you, so that information's out there.
Yes.
I bet if I Google you and say you probably have a video you're teaching that for free, how to do exactly how the video, every frame of the video should look, how long.
Right.
So is that information's out there, right?
Yes.
So where would you find that?
On YouTube.
Just go to Google it on YouTube.
Yeah, or my Instagram, I have all the videos. I try to do as many. I've done thousands and thousands of videos on there, so it's on there.
Point being, it's not a secret how to do that, right? So anyone could do this, plus no money.
Correct.
Step 3.
Step 3, create content. So the content, people have to actually, once they come to you, once they find you, once they see you, now Jordan Belfort can now shout out somebody, but if they go there and there's nothing there, they leave. They're not going to follow you, right? You have to now have content for them to go look. So how do you create content? You take a camera that's on your phone. Don't need a fancy videographer.
Right.
If you can, great. You don't need it. An iPhone or an Android shoots really, really impressively.
Right.
You go out there and you make content in your niche. The words are, the niches are in the riches.
Guys, so give me an example of some niches, like the common niches for people, like young people.
The highest paid influencers in the world are beauty influencers.
Got it.
And it's not close.
So all you ugly bastards, I'm sorry, it ain't for you. Not keep going.
There's plenty of guys that do makeup and to make themselves look like girls. I can make an ugly guy, girl, anything, make it look magically amazing, and those people make way more money.
So is it beauty
it's for anybody?
Girls or guys? Doesn't matter.
No,
there's
male
like health and fitness, or no different.
The male makeup influencers destroy revenue and eyeballs and engagement of the females.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
I'm talking about destroy.
Wait, stop. Explain this to me.
Okay. There's a kid right now. There's 2 of them in particular. This kid was from Hawaii and didn't have a bank account. I tried to pay him $30,000 for postage.
What's his name?
I don't want to get into it.
Okay, let's go.
This kid.
They'll find out. I know they will, right?
This kid now has 12 million followers and turns down $150,000 per post. He didn't have a bank account.
How long ago?
2.5 years ago. Okay.
All right, tell me how this happened. I want to give us the secret.
He made videos of him going crazy talking about makeup. And he would just be very flamboyant and very.
Is he gay or is he transsexual?
Yeah.
Gay, okay, right?
There's another one that named Nikita Dragon. Was a boy, turned into a girl. In our office, we watched her do 6 figures, hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue in 11 minutes. Okay.
Doing what?
This is a male turned female that does makeup and teaches people about makeup. Some of the most fantastic.
Teaches other guys or girls?
Girls.
Okay. I guess saying that if
There's
I
some
can
guys
look beautiful,
then
you can certainly look.
Right. Some guys can learn from her too, obviously.
Right.
Some of the most amazing branding you've ever seen and some of the most amazing videos you've ever seen. One of our videographers, Live Rich Media, shot a video for her when that whole thing with Victoria's Secret happened. The director of marketing of Victoria's Secret said,
right.
I'll never allow transsexuals in the Victoria's Secret show. Live Rich Media and Nikita Dragon shot a video the next day that got more video views than the entire Victoria's Secret did on TV. In one day.
It's just a new world. If you understand this world, right, it's just crazy.
So the idea is, it doesn't matter if you're a boy, girl, straight, gay, smart, dumb, fat. None of it matters anymore.
It's about a niche.
Yes.
And something that's probably congruent that you actually really not manufactured, but
exactly.
really
If you like
passion.
to fix cars, do that. If you like to clean guns, do that. Make
Open,
videos about
I
that.
think there's a 5-year-old kid who opens up toys and makes like
Something
5
10,
million,
20 million, whatever. It's insanity.
Right?
It's insanity. But the concept is it's the content. Everything I just said leads back to the content. You said he fixes toys or he reviews toys. It's the content.
He films himself doing it and explains it. And it's not even about the quality of the foot, right? It's,
No, absolutely not. You don't need highly edited footage. There's plenty of people out there that they actually don't want to see highly edited footage because they feel like you're selling them.
Right.
We see 3,500 logos per day on average. We're getting pitched all day long. I'm sitting here. I see all different brands as we're sitting here. Right?
These people should pay me. I drink
For sure.
I just, I can't still Coke anymore. It's the only thing I have left. You know what I'm saying? What am I going to do? I'm sober for too long.
By the way, the first 20 seconds we were sitting down, I was going to actually twist this because
I thought about it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just lazy. I was saying I shouldn't give them free advertising. Anyway, but this is amazing. So okay, so we did beauty, right?
Yeah. Food, cars.
Food. Give me an example for food.
I mean, the chefs and people creating food content, they don't even have to be chefs. There's people's moms that are just stay-at-home moms that are getting $10,000, $20,000 per video. Just making cooking videos.
My daughter's boyfriend, okay, perfect example, right? I should tell him this. He should watch. He's gonna watch this, right? He made the perfect chocolate chip cookie. Yeah. He's like crazy. He spent like a year going through like every possible recipe and he's made the perfect cookie. So that sort of thing could actually be a business.
That should be placed on Pinterest, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, etc. And then if it's converting, meaning people are naturally wanting to do it, then it's number 4. You spend money. Okay, not a lot of money.
I explain that part now.
Okay. So let's say
you're on the platforms.
Yes.
You have some traction. People are liking your stuff, right?
Sometimes you might be on 6 platforms and only one of them it takes off.
Okay.
And takes off might only be 10,000 or 30,000 views for you, but that's a big deal. Maybe you only have 6,000 followers. When something starts to take off and you have engagement, spend some money on it. I call it digging for oil.
How much money? Like for an average person?
$50, $200.
Okay, so anyone could do that.
Literally anybody.
And how would you spend it?
All it is increasing the reach.
Boosting a post, right?
That's it. It says right there, it says boost post. Click on that, put in your credit card and say, I'm willing to pay $50, $100, $500, $200, whatever you can afford and increase that reach. You already know that people like it.
Targeting any audience, you just let them target it for you.
If you can target a niche, fantastic. If it's just a viral video, let it go.
Okay.
It's more expensive to target the niche followers. If you are in a niche, do that. If you do fitness or food or beauty, etc., do that. If not, just paying for that extra reach is invaluable. Why?
And Facebook will use their algorithm to reach the people. Right? So they'll do it for you.
They're magical.
Right, yeah, they are.
They're magical.
It works well.
But what you're doing is what most people do the mistake of is they make that beauty video or they make that fitness video or they make that car repair video and then they start spending money right away or they wonder why it's not working. Let the people tell you first.
Dude, you know what? It's so crazy. You're gonna appreciate this. Steve Madden. How Steve Madden really took off is that he'd go and make all these shoes and put them into these little stores in Greenwich Village and South Beach and see which ones sold. Get the early read, and then once you
go all in on that,
and then you go all in on.
Absolutely.
So you have 20 shoes,
right?
But you just make a couple of them, right? Then you find one takes off, and then he get that, and then he had it made in Mexico. So you get a 4-week turnaround time versus going from China, which would take 3 months. And you could and you go to Macy's, say, hey, I have this shoe, I know it sells, and he beat everyone to the punch. He destroyed Don West like that. Yeah,
absolutely.
Same thing. So it's basically the same strategy you're doing here online.
Right. So here's number 5, collaboration. So the only way for people to see you is for people to show you, right?
Right.
So the way for you to get seen is if your friends are fitness influencers also, and you go to work out on Sundays, you pull out your phones and you be strategic about it and actually start making content with them. If that friend has 8,000 followers, that one has 20, and then one of them has 80, okay? You're not doing it to use them per se. They want to create content with you also.
I get it, right. It's mutual. It's like symbiotic.
Absolutely. When you guys are creating content, the people that are following them, the 8,000, the 20,000, and the 80,000, they've already proven to you that they like fitness influencers.
Got it.
If there's 4 real estate agents and you guys go look at a house and the 2 girls and the 2 guys pull out their phones and they're filming content, they might only have 26,000 followers, but those 26,000 followers, I've already told you they like real estate agents.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Totally. I get it. It's like this. You're not competing with them. It's additive.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. It's people scared. I don't want to. They'll steal my followers. Not even. It's the exact opposite.
So then, when you're at these situations, you create extra content. The problem is, 4 models go to dinner, or 4 male models go to dinner, and they take a photo together, and that's it. No. That's the time you do videos together, you do individual photos together, you do 2 together.
Give me some
4 together.
example. Like, so that gets specific. Like, give me an example. I know you got this down to just slides. Like, how would you? Okay, let's say 4 people out of the same. How would you like? There's certain shots, right? You would want.
I'll use my wife as an example. So she's built up 600,000 plus followers now. It's at Casey Loves Fitness, and she does like her video today is with another fitness influencer. Tomorrow she'll post a picture of herself, the next picture of herself, and another fitness influencer. What happens is, as she's filming fitness video content with Dabbling or Kevin Ostage and our different videographers,
Right.
they'll make these videos together with Anna Shree. She has 12 million followers. Make it with this girl who has 1 million followers, 5 million followers. As they're making videos together, you make it about the other person. That's the difference. Most people make it about themselves. When you
right. You gave me this advice too. You said with the podcast, make sure like when I advertise, it's always about the other person.
Correct.
It's tough for me not to talk, but you got a great story, so this is awesome.
So what happens is, when you're out with your friends and you guys take a picture together and they always post the one that's just perfect about them.
Yes.
You're never going to repost it, right? Because you're like, wait a minute, why does my face look weird? Or why does my hair look like that? Or why am I making some weird,
I get it. Right.
If you make the content about them, you win.
They'll post because then they'll repost it. So
course.
I get it.
And then all their fans is who you're trying to go after. You don't have to impress these people. They're already drinking the Kool-Aid. Your followers are already drinking the Kool-Aid. They've already made a decision. They click the follow button. They're yours. If you make it about them, oh man, you can grow your following so fast.
Wow. All right. So let's review them one time. Step 1, real quick review. Step 1,
all the people. Setting up shop.
Step 2, get all the platforms.
Yes.
Step 2,
creating your story.
So pick a niche, create a story, right?
Make your nice photos, bio, and everything.
All right. And that's part, and you choose your niche there.
Yeah.
All right. And then step 3,
content is king.
Create content. So start creating, just filming stuff. No money involved.
Right.
Just iPhone, Android, good enough, right? Step 4.
Once any content takes off, spend a little bit of money to make it grow.
50, 100, whatever your budget. It doesn't need to be more than a couple $100 at most, right? Step 5. Collaborations.
Yeah.
Boom. And give me an example of someone that you could say a name, or if not, whatever. That like, okay, let's talk about someone like who would you say is if there's one person under the age of 30 that you have to say they just like did it right. Who would that be?
It's definitely Anna Shree.
Anna Shree. So tell me about Anna Shree, like the story.
She started early in the fitness space, and she worked hard, and she would do only brands that she liked, and she would work out every single day and post workout videos, but then in between do the sexy stuff. So she would shoot with Playboy, she would shoot modeling photos with Josh Ryan and Ryan Estimati and all these cool photographers, but then at the core of it, she would post her fitness. Then as soon as she had a little bit of money, boom, she opens up her own gym in Huntington Beach. Then as she's doing that, she's filming fitness content, but still doing the modeling stuff.
So she's mixing offline and online together too, right?
And she's creating content on every single different platform. And so she got in early, which is important. But then if you don't get in early and you have to evolve and adjust, she did that too by creating content with a bunch of different influencers. So she would make videos and photos with as many fitness people as she could. And now she has 12 million followers. Now she's buying Ferraris and Range Rovers. Like,
and tell me how
but listen, there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of fitness influencers that could be hotter or cooler or smarter or taller or smaller, anything you could think of that could stand out. But she stood the test of time when lots of other fitness influencers just got stuck at 200,000 or whatever.
On some level, is it about always reinventing yourself every single day, right? So it's never like about I've arrived. As soon as you have that mentality, like, I'm done. You're done, right? Someone else will come in and basically.
Absolutely. There's plenty of other influencers or people in the info product game or the energy drink game. When I came in, there was 900 energy drinks.
Right.
When I came into poker, there's 550 sites. The reason I got to top 10 of both of those was I did something unique and different. I made ourselves stand out. Those other people had way more money, way more time, way more experience. We were the new kids on the block that just saw the voids.
I forgot what year it was either early, I think it was the early 1900s or either late 1800s. There was like the U.S. Patent Office.
Yep.
They said it's time to close because all things that are patentable have now been invented.
Oh my God.
It's a true story. Nothing is left. They were going to close the patent office because there's nothing left to invent, right? And I think also what happens, I think a lot of people, they feel like they're too late. They missed the boat.
Right.
And if I only would have done it 5, and they'll look at someone who's successful and they say, well, yeah, they got in early or
they
something.
got lucky.
Like someone like a Ty Lopez, who's a friend of mine, right?
Yep.
Like, and I have tremendous respect for Ty because people will say, oh yeah, well he just got, but it's not true.
No way.
Ty is very strategic.
He spent so much time and energy and work and money, and It's so much
Right.
time.
So I think people have a tendency, and here's the thing: with 100% certainty that in 12 months from now, someone will be uber famous that there's nobody today doing something that's already been done 100 times, right?
Absolutely.
Something will happen. They'll pick a niche. So what would you do? So, okay, so let's just say if you want to give advice to someone, right? Let's say, okay, obviously pick the niche that you like, right? But how long do you stay with it? Like, let's say it's not like what about pivoting? Like, you know what I'm saying? You're obviously a master pivoter. We all are, right?
Sure.
So how do you, when do you know, like, to take, okay, I'm doing it. It's just not, how do you do that?
The niche has to be something that you actually like. You actually have to have a passion for it. So what can happen is you can pivot other types of content, but still focus on your niche. Your niche might take you years. There's plenty of actors that are years and years and years before they ever get a gig. There's plenty of makeup artists that do it for years before they ever do makeup.
So if you love what you're doing, it's not even work, basically.
Right. The pivot part is you could do other content. You could be a makeup artist or a fitness influencer or a real estate agent that may not be crushing it there. And you could also do magic tricks, or you could also do karate, or you could also do other content or food or whatever while you're still focusing on your core niche. You don't have to pivot away from it.
Let's switch topics for a second. I want to talk about contribution.
Yep.
Like with you, right? Yep. So you have a great charity, right? Which I want you to talk about. But how important is that in your life? And also, like, in terms of your business, like, you don't want, listen, you don't want to use a check. You don't give just because you want to be
right.
But still, there, obviously there are elements of that that are really important in an integrated business model. So first let me tell you about your charity, how it got started, and how it fits in with the rest of your business.
Sure. So I tie it into everything for the last 7 years. So it's called Model Citizen Fund. We make backpacks for the homeless with 150 emergency supply items inside. We're a 0% charity, meaning I cover all overhead, events, marketing expenses, everything.
Which is so huge because, like most charities, it's just complete all the expenses and nothing, right? It's just a scam, right? That's awesome.
So I try to tie it in with everything. Recently we just raised $250,000 in a day at a speaking event of somebody else's event because they chose us as the charity. Sometimes the BET Awards, SB Awards, etc., will choose us as the charity, and we'll throw a charity poker tournament with them. I tie it in because the marketing helps. 1, helps the brand. 2, it helps with donations. But 3, it helps inspire other people to do charity also. So I'm constantly doing my own charity events, but then I'm helping throw Stevie Aoki's charity. I'm helping throw this guy's charity or that girl's charity. Or somebody's doing a charity that's not related to mine for homeless shelters. Theirs is about 4-year-old to 7-year-old kids. Or theirs is about people in wheelchairs with Alzheimer's or people with autism. Like, I'm helping all different types of charities because it helps inspire other people. And all of it helps back to your core business. All of it.
Got it. So obviously what you're saying is you're using the charity for the pure because it's a thing you believe in, right? It's going to say philosophy. You do something you believe in, right? Just don't have a charity that you don't believe in because you won't be passionate about it, right?
Absolutely. So by doing something that you believe in charity-wise, it helps build your personal brand. It helps make you better at work because now you have like this driving force. I'm going to do my charity for the rest of my life.
Right.
I'm going to pay for it for the rest of my life. I love it because it's so simple. I make backpacks with 14
So how does it exactly work? So tell me how does it actually get what happens? How do you get into people and so forth?
So I have a warehouse that has hundreds of thousands of square feet. And we have all these different supplies that we can buy from at super, super low cost. So it's $100 for 150 emergency supply items, which is about 14 pounds of supplies. Every time money comes in, let's say $2,000 comes in, I buy 20 backpacks. I just wire it to the warehouse. They make 20 backpacks, fill it up with those 3,000 supply items, and I ship it out. Not only do we do homeless shelters, we do it for orphanages, teen abuse shelters, and women abuse shelters, or emergency situations. When the Mexico City earthquake happened, the girl Marcella that runs my charity, she got on a plane and went to Mexico City and was pulling rubble off of people in Mexico. Way above her pay grade. Completely unnecessary. She just really wanted to do it because she's a diehard for this.
Right.
When the tornadoes happened in Puerto Rico, we filled up 2 jumbo planes full of supplies, sent it over there with no clearance. There was no electricity. So we thought the airports were shut down. So I hired ex-Navy SEAL type guys to be the pilots.
Right.
We flew in because they were like not having a way to take in supplies and we wanted to get there quickly. When I say we filled up almost a half a warehouse full of supplies, that's what we filled up. The pictures I'll show you, they're crazy. We landed, they were like, "What are you doing? You can't just fly in here." We're like, "We'll ask for forgiveness. Sorry guys, we thought you had no electricity, so we didn't bother calling it in." Drop off the supplies, turn around, fly back to America. Like, we'll do anything to help the actual
So it's like the point is like yes, you use it strategically, but it's about the charity.
Absolutely. That costs a lot of money to that was completely, that money was completely us.
What made you get into it? How'd you start? Like, what made you choose that?
So I just realized I couldn't cure cancer and I can't cure AIDS. Like
You wanted to have an immediate, like a discernible impact. You could see the result, right?
There's so many people raising billions and billions of dollars of things that for diseases that technically have been cured for 2 decades that, we can go down the rabbit hole at a different time, but of why those aren't getting cured. And so I wanted something that had just a basic true cause and effect. If I give somebody 14 pounds of supplies, they've got stuff. Is it going to save their life forever? No. My goal is for me to help them get a book and a sleeping bag and poncho and sunglasses and cleaning supplies, make them feel human. And I'm going to keep increasing that forever.
Great. And how many people are work at the charity, or like directly at that charity, like in your company?
It's all volunteers and then a couple of core people. That way we keep the cost to the low 6 figures.
Awesome. All right. I want to talk about that because I think it was pretty cool. And I saw the stuff on your bio because, it's like, for me, I do a lot of stuff in Africa back in I haven't been as active. I should be more active. I really should be. And I'm going to be. But when I was on tour, I always made it a point to always do charity work. And that was the most fun part. Like, it's almost like it charges you up no matter how jet lagged you are, right? No matter how tired. You just like, you always bring it to the table for that,
Yeah. So I try to make the content about the charities so that people can go out and do it themselves.
Right.
Not necessarily about the money. You going and volunteering at a elderly center, there's no money involved. You getting all your friends to meet up at your house one day and filling up bags with sandwiches in it. What is that? $20, $50,
right.
$100? Like getting everybody in your community involved to go give out toys or go give out food or go give out brown paper bags of whatever. I try to inspire people to do that. I don't sit there and pitch them to donate to my charity. It does nothing for me. I make a backpack and I ship it. You can do the same thing in Alabama or Kentucky or wherever you are. Make backpacks yourself, fill it up with supplies and go give it out. The same thing I want to happen is that.
Got it.
You donating to me is irrelevant. I'm happy to do it for you or ship you the backpacks for you to make it faster and easier. But I just want stuff to happen.
Got it, right.
I want you to go out there and do stuff.
Interesting. Question. Ready for this? Okay. Some beliefs for a second.
Sure.
Belief systems, right? We all have limiting beliefs, right? My limiting belief was always that when I was first coming back, my past will always haunt me, right?
Sure.
And because of that, I didn't take certain actions I should have taken. And eventually, people like myself and you, entrepreneurs that are successful, overcome your limiting beliefs. Like you step into your fears, but they do hold you back. Well, what are some of the limiting beliefs? Let's go back in time for you when you were like in your 20s and 30s. First of all, what was your biggest failure? Like everyone has a big blow. What was your biggest blowout?
My biggest failure was a website. We had 300 million page views and couldn't make any money because Facebook changed the algorithm. And so our company and like 23 other big media sites, you've seen BuzzFeed go down and Forbes.com firing all their writers.
Yep.
And there was so many. I mean, Elite Daily, all these guys went from worth hundreds of millions to zero in less than a year.
Oh, is that what happened to Elite Daily?
Yeah.
They used to ask you for a while to like go on there. I just never heard from them again. So
there's a reason. They got acquired by Daily Mail.
Right.
And then Daily Mail a couple of years ago had to do a write-off and just write off the debt because it went from being worth a ton of money to nothing overnight. And it wasn't their fault. All these sites, Elite Daily.
But they were too dependent on Facebook, I guess, right? That's dangerous when you have one source of revenue
exactly.
like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Same thing for influencers.
So that was your big, so you have that, right? So then, of course, what's the biggest lesson from that you took away from that?
Oh, man.
There's many, but what was
the main one is not to be dependent on any one thing.
Right. So
because if you are dependent on one core thing and that thing changes, what do you do? And so looking back, I could have done it different. We built the fastest growing site in history. Wasn't even close. 300 million pages in a single year, and it's a failure. And that sickens me to think about. Because of literally one little button.
Let me go back. So let me ask you this. Knowing now, so how old were you at the time?
This was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, so knowing what you know now, could you have made it work with the knowledge after that, or just was a flawed idea from the beginning?
We all went down.
Right. Something's just a bad idea.
The articles are crazy. It's called the Winter Storm. Facebook created the Winter Storm where they bankrupted. I know of 23 to 27 companies that were big names.
So what was the change they made in the algorithm? What was the exact change?
It's called instant articles. So instead of it going to your website, it pops up inside of Facebook.
So
you don't get the traffic. They get the money, not us.
Got it. So
we would have hundreds of millions of views.
People were leaving Facebook. They clicked or they leave and go to the site.
And we get ad revenue.
Right.
Instead, you stay inside of Facebook. That's it. All the companies go
Bastards.
bankrupt.
Zuckerberg. God damn
He's
it.
an evil genius.
He's an evil genius, right? He's got to be in his underground lair somewhere, right? $100 billion, right?
Yeah.
No,
he's gonna.
he made the perfect mouse. You have to give the guy credit, though.
Of course.
The perfect
And,
mouse.
anybody
right?
anybody that pokes the bear, he just buys them.
Right?
What doesn't matter if it's WhatsApp, Instagram, he just buys them all.
So what do you think? Okay, let's be honest. Like, hopefully he won't throw us off his platform. But no, what do you think about in terms of antitrust? Do you think that Facebook should be broken up, or you think it should stay together?
I think it would be insane to break them up.
Why is that?
Because what happens is it's just new versions of power. And right now it's a manageable power. We can watch it, and the government can watch it, the people can watch it. If he starts to break it up into different divisions, there's new situations. And
so it's like taking over Iraq and ISIS pops up, basically, right?
Yes.
You think the devil you know is better than the devil you don't?
Absolutely. Facebook is too powerful. It's too useful. It's too interesting. I know they're scared of too much power.
So a question. Okay, so let's dig a bit deeper, right? And I'm not sure. I tend to agree with you. I think that the problem is, but what about the fact that he has most companies of that size? There's a board of directors that and shareholders control the company.
Right.
He has a super voting stock that gives him direct control.
Yep.
Do you think that is there a solution that doesn't break Facebook up, but allows it to be, or you think that he deserves to have it the way it is right now because listen, the guy invented it, right?
Yep.
And you can't. We live in a capital society, right?
Yep.
And I make a lot of money on Facebook, so it makes me nervous that they break it up. But what do you think about that?
I root for him. I think guys like him and Elon Musk. I think it's crazy when people try to take them away from their companies.
1,000%. I agree with that too.
It's their baby. They built it. It's their passion, their vision.
I'm a big Elon Musk fan.
Like the idea of oh well, he smoked weed. We got to get rid of
do you remember back in I think it was 2000, right? And with the Microsoft antitrust, right? And they went into Microsoft, right? And what they basically did is they unbundled Explorer back then. Right? So at the time, there was no Apple. There wasn't really. There was a nothing burger back then, right? But I think what it goes to show you is that even if they wouldn't have done that to Microsoft, Apple came in anyway.
Of course.
In other words, it's like the market has a way of correcting itself anyway.
Absolutely.
No one stays on top forever, And to say Amazon, for instance, right? I'm a huge, Amazon, although my wife loves it more than anyone, I think, But
52% of e-commerce sales.
No, it's amazing, And the thing with Amazon is that one-click buying.
Yeah.
I teach persuasion. I use Amazon as an example, about when you ask for the order, you have to make the closing
frictionless
process really easy. The more clicks, the more actions, the more compliance goes down. Right? They have one-click buying. It's huge, right? So so you think that no government should stay out of anything like that?
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. And
they're not a monopoly.
Right.
They're not.
No.
We all willingly go there.
Right.
We willingly sign up, and we can all willingly leave in seconds.
Right.
Anybody wants to get off, you can click unsubscribe.
And also,
that's it.
remember this: outside of the United States, there's a lot of other platforms. I mean, you travel around the country,
for sure.
China, right? There's,
Absolutely. Think about how big WeChat and these other platforms are.
All right. So basically, so that was your biggest failure, right?
Yeah.
What about the stuff with Elliot way back when? How was the? I know you took a bit of a.
Yeah.
Elliot was because Elliot was like he's great. Elliot's great on the way up, and not so great, especially if he's managing the checkbook, right?
Yeah. I mean, all of us collectively put in $6 million into that company, into our company together. We were the largest shareholders. We only had to put up $631,000 because we'd already spent a bunch of money on the convention and the clothing, and we already had sales before making this formation. That was frustrating because we had tens of millions in revenue combined.
The company was booming, and
he treated it like his piggy bank instead. And so that was frustrating because, again, the few failures that have happened in my life were companies that were succeeding.
Right.
Like Victory Poker, we were huge, and then my competitors screw up and we're gone. But the scoreboard is the scoreboard. I still call it a failure.
Right. Yeah.
I don't have an ego to that. Like, it doesn't matter how it failed, it failed.
Oh, I get it. I've failed a lot more than I've succeeded. It's like almost like cops and robbers. Like, when you're an entrepreneur, you're almost like the cops.
Yep.
You only have to be right once. You could be wrong a lot of times. A cop can, chase a criminal, the criminal can never be wrong.
Right.
He's wrong once, he goes to jail, right? As an entrepreneur, if you know the rules of being an entrepreneur, you can be wrong a lot of times. It takes one time to be right? Yeah.
And also, I'm not scared of failure.
Right.
Like, if I tell people when I'm speaking at events, I'll be on stage and I'll mention, I'm like, if a bird flies over us and poops on the floor, I'll clean up poop in front of you guys.
Right.
I don't care. I have no emotion to you because none of you will be at my funeral.
So let me ask you, the reason I asked you this, though, is in terms of, when you fail, though, typically what happens is you have to give a meaning to the like. What did I do wrong? What was it my fault? Was it the world happening to me? You know, we always we have a tendency to form limiting beliefs. So did you ever go through a time where you just like, you know, you had a limiting belief that was holding you back that you eventually overcame?
So I call that don't sit on the floor and cry about it. What happens is your natural reaction is the next morning after you lose your company is to sit on the floor and cry about woe is me and this happened to me and the world hates me and this guy screwed me and that person did that. None of it matters anymore.
Right.
The company's gone. It's over.
Did you ever feel though that you like maybe there's something like maybe I'm not meant for? You ever go through a time you feel like maybe I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur? You ever have any of those doubts or no?
I think I've thought about like, what if I just go take a job and go be the director of marketing for Nike or go work go work for Beats by Dre. I've had considerations where maybe I should go take on a C-level job for one of these big companies, guaranteed 7 figures and nice and easy. And
you'd probably kill yourself in like 6.
Right. Yeah. Every time I thought about it, it went away 6 minutes later. So I don't know. I don't really have any regrets when it comes to that stuff because the failure parts make me who I am.
Right. For sure, you learn more from your failures than your successes, right? Here's, my theory on failure is I think that people say, people have a fear of failure, and that's what stops them. But I think it's more accurately, not that they're so scared to fail, they don't truly believe they're going to succeed. Like when they run the movie, they say, I can't really imagine myself being like him or like, so because of that, they say, why do all the work? Like in your mind, when you think about taking an action or building it, you're like, that
I can't imagine not succeeding.
Right, exactly.
No, I literally can't imagine
myself. I say, hey, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But it's not like that someone else could succeed where I wouldn't. No. In other words, the idea could be flawed in some way.
I can't imagine not succeeding because I will do absolutely everything to get there.
Right. So the analogy here is that a lot of people, young people especially, they get into this box and they're like, I'm not real. I don't know if I'm really cut out to be an entrepreneur. Like they can't imagine themselves, so they end up living smaller and smaller lives. Right?
They don't put in all the groundwork. They don't do all the studying. They don't put in the man hours. They don't do all those things to get there. Like if we were both standing here, and we think about, hey, I want to walk to New York. Okay, somebody's going to pay us $10 million to walk to New York.
Right.
There's some number, right? You laugh about it. Okay, there's some number, 50 million, whatever the number is.
Right.
There's a number that you would walk to New York. Okay. There is no version where I don't make it to New York. Right. Under any circumstance. If I have to crawl half the way,
a Forrest Gump it.
I don't care. Like there is no version where I won't make it.
Right.
I have the same feeling in a company.
Got it.
If I launch a company, there is no version I don't make it.
Total self-belief, basically.
Absolutely.
Right.
And if I don't, and something happens along the way, I'm okay with that. As long as I'm willing to crawl and I do absolutely everything to get there, if I don't put in the work, if I just watch Netflix all night, then it's all my fault.
Question: best idea you've seen in the last couple of years that was poorly executed? That like the way that where you like it was so great and they just screwed it all up.
Yeah, Snapchat.
Snapchat.
The most gorgeous product in history, and it's
explain it
utter failure.
So explain the whole thing. Slow it down.
Okay, so they built the most beautiful product. It's fast, it's gorgeous, it's cool, and then they added all these crazy features to it to make it unusable. And then they turned down Mark Zuckerberg when he offers them $3, $4, $5, $6 billion to buy them out, strictly out of ego. And then when you turn down Mark Zuckerberg, what does he do?
He builds Snapchat.
He builds Instagram stories. And you know what's faster than Snapchat? Instagram stories. I can flick through your Instagram stories like this so fast. Like the idea that Evan does he think that he would go to Vegas and play with $6 billion a hand of blackjack? No, that's what he was doing.
Similar to Groupon. Remember Groupons?
Of course.
They're the exact same thing.
Of course.
They got $6 billion by Microsoft. They turned it down.
They turned it down. And now what is it?
It's
nothing.
Right.
So to me,
ego, right? Ego.
Yes.
Most of it, right? It had to be, right?
They built it. They did it. They got the offer. Everything that's supposed to happen happened for them. They did it organically, being right here in Venice, like having the cool office on the beach. Like they had it all. They get offered billions of dollars. They turn it down, and now it's the laughing stock of the stock market.
What's the lesson? If Zuckerberg wants to buy, sell it.
Absolutely.
Right? And not just him, anybody. Like if someone comes in with that big check, take the freaking money. Don't be an idiot, right?
The ego part is what makes people mess up, always. Like there's some people that just feel like I have to do this, or I know I can scale it to this. But you have to think about it. Would you really gamble on that? Taking $20 million for your company now and maybe getting 40 or 50 million in 3 years, is that worth it to you? Or could you take 20 million now, guaranteed lock it up, and then go make that other 20 to 30 million doing real estate or what other.
And I'm probably guessing they probably would have wanted to run the company anyway after the acquisition, right?
Of course they did.
It's like just putting $6 billion in your pocket.
You still get to have the ego part.
Right.
By the way, the other thing he doesn't realize, at the time, he had like 26 or 27% of the company. Like he had a big piece of the company, so most of that would be his. He's had 3 rounds of funding since then. That's 3 rounds of dilution.
Right, yeah.
So maybe your company is worth 3 times more, but you probably only own 12% now. So your $6 billion becomes worth 15.
Right, no, yeah,
you make less.
He's diluted himself out already.
Right.
Yeah, stupid. Amazing. That always amazing. When someone turns that offer like that, it's just ridiculous.
It's frustrating.
WhatsApp, very smart.
$18 billion.
Sold to you.
Yeah, you got it, buddy.
No, I'll do it 15, I think. Yeah.
But even the Instagram guys, think about it. They took $1 billion.
Billion, yeah.
Knowing that they could scale it much more, knowing that they could be worth billions. Think about it. Instagram does over $1 billion a quarter now.
Right.
So it looks dumb. No, it's not dumb. They got $1 billion when they had 11 employees. That's genius. You take the guarantee.
Subject change. What do you think the best up and coming platform is right now? Like, it's just too hard to tell. You never know.
There's only one that's standing out. It's called TikTok. TikTok, but it's really meant for kids and for dancing videos and singing videos. But they've
explain what it is.
That's just it. It's just singing and dancing. People are just making fast content of them singing or dancing along to songs.
How fast is fast? How many seconds?
Like fast, like 10 seconds, 30
like
seconds.
Like Vine, like the old Vine almost?
Yeah, Vine had a real shot at glory. 6 seconds is a little too short, but same thing, they missed out. There's another app called Holonis that are building all of the apps together. A friend of mine spent like $30 million on it. He self-funded it. He was the inventor of biotech. He did like the first multi-billion-dollar biotech public offering back in the 80s. So he self-funded it for his son, put in $30 million. And Holonis is essentially Facebook, Instagram, all these companies combined to do e-commerce. So it's helping people monetize their personal brands. I think that one's interesting. They're now getting lots of traction. But that's really it. It's really tough to become a social media platform now. Remember, there's 220 other social media platforms. We just don't talk about them or think about them. It's really tough to grow. I think the one that's converting the best now is LinkedIn. LinkedIn, now that they added photo and video, it's magical. It is mind-blowing what you can do on there.
Explain this because I'm not using it right
now. Yeah. So LinkedIn for you is huge because you could sell the straight line program. You could sell there. People would pay $2,500 there all day long because everybody on LinkedIn either has a job or wants a job, right? Nobody else. Johnny444 is not on LinkedIn. There's no poop emojis on LinkedIn. Everybody that's on LinkedIn has a job.
No pooch emoji.
Has a job or wants a job.
Poop emojis.
Yeah. The reason you see some of these guys, Neil Patel and Gary Vee, going all in and doing lots of content on LinkedIn is because when their video gets 30,000 views there, infinitely worth more than getting 3 million to the masses.
Got it.
Way more. You should 100% be putting a big effort on LinkedIn.
Well, you just hooked me up with a guy I'm sure will take me in that direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the guy.
Josh Avon.
Yeah, Josh. He's
so
awesome, by the way. Yeah.
LinkedIn is critical, not just for you. For you, it's super critical because for your sales course, I mean, people are going to eat it up.
Right.
Separately, for people that are just 18 years old, 23 years old, getting on LinkedIn because now anybody you want to get out to and reach out to is there. Like, you have a sports product, you can find the CMO, CEO, CTO, head buyer, vice president, and president of Sports Chalet, Big Five, and every other sports goods store in the next 22 minutes.
Hey, Bowen, you listening to this, Bowen? LinkedIn. My son works here. Yeah, he's awesome.
I love him. So going out there and building up your LinkedIn and then actually utilizing it, going out and engaging on people in your category. So if you have a sports product, you go follow all the people in the sports industry. You go comment on their stuff. Who knows if all of a sudden the guy from Sports Chalet is like, hey, buddy, I want to buy your sports product. Your risk is nothing, but your reward is, what if you get an order from Sports Chalet or Big Five? Just because you're on LinkedIn. Like, it's mind-blowing that people don't
Zero risk, mass, unlimited upside, right?
And you don't have to, if you have, I tell people to keep their day job. You work 9 to 5 and you work as a bartender at nighttime, great. You could be on LinkedIn at 1 in the morning or 6 in the morning, it doesn't matter. It's not rude. It's not like you're calling somebody at their home and waking their kids up. Like, you can comment and like stuff and direct message people at any hour of the day and night on social media. It doesn't matter. So for people to tell me they don't have time, it's nonsense.
It's ridiculous, right?
It's really ridiculous.
Limiting belief.
Yes.
I don't have enough time.
Right.
I'm too old, too young.
You always have your phone in your pocket.
Exactly.
All of you.
All right, ready? A couple more questions, but I could talk to you all day, buddy. I really could. You are amazing, by the way. It's not an accident that you're incredibly successful. 2 things. Number 1, all right, ready for this? Think this through. You're back to being 22 years old.
Yep.
You know you possess the skills you have now, but
Right.
no one knows who you are. You're like you get so you understand, you have all the knowledge, but no one knows you.
Yep.
What would you do to get? How would you start right now for you with what you know, but not connections?
Got it. I would set up all my social media accounts right away. I'd buy an iPhone, and I would go work for free or for cheap for somebody in a category that I like. So if I like fashion,
For an influencer or
an influencer, or somebody like Ty Lopez or Jordan Belfort, or if I like fashion, I go work for the new age Elliot Levine. So I go work for Damon John.
right.
I would go work for somebody in the category that I like. Okay. If I like,
Step one. Well, step one is you put on the platform is buy an iPhone.
Yeah.
Step two, go to
because all that takes me minutes.
proximity now.
Right. Now I want to be in the room. Okay. I want to go work for whoever I can. That's the big dog in the space. Okay. She's the CEO of this.
You
or
work for free, even if
I don't care.
Right.
Right. I'll work for free in the daytime for them, and I'll be a bartender at nighttime. I'll do whatever I can. I have to have other income. The big problem is people don't realize that. I got to have other income. Helps keep the car going.
get
Okay.
it. Right.
So I work for free or cheap for whoever I can. And then I go find everybody on social media that's in the space that I care about. So if it's fashion, if it's fitness, let's just use fashion for the example. I go follow everybody similar to Damon John, every mini Damon John out there. This person owns watch company. They own sunglasses. They own headphones. They own shirts. They own this. They own jeans. I go follow all of them, and I start messaging all of them. And here's the big one. Okay. This is what everybody can start doing. I throw a monthly event, and I don't spend any real money on it.
Explain that.
Okay. I've thrown an expensive version I call elevator nights.
Right.
33 elevator nights, but those are expensive and those are big productions. Completely unnecessary. You can make a mini version,
Right.
okay? And you invite everybody in the fashion space to come meet you at the W Hotel in Hollywood, or come meet you wherever you are in Wyoming, and say, hey, I'd prefer if you lived in Hollywood, if you're in fashion, or New York, like you got to be where the people are.
Right.
And then say, hey, Sunday night, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., I'm having a meetup. And I'm going to invite all these other people in the fashion space. This guy's coming. This lady's coming. This guy's coming. And then, oh, yeah, this guy, Damon John, is going to speak for an hour. It doesn't have to be Damon. It can be the mini version of Damon. Do you know how much it costs to do it at a hotel ballroom, or to do it at a local bar or restaurant on a Sunday night, or on
Under
a Tuesday?
$1,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some of the restaurants will pay you or comp you
Because people try drinks at the bar.
because you're
right.
bringing 80 people in the
sure.
fashion space.
Yeah.
If I'm a real estate agent, I would do that every freaking week.
Got it.
Just invite every mortgage broker, right? But what happens? I'm inviting all these people that I could never pay before. I have no other value to provide for them. But now I'm providing each other to them as the value.
The networking opportunities.
Exactly.
You said something very quickly. You said about, well, it's better if you're in L.A. or New York, right?
Right.
You don't be in Wyoming. But so I guess the answer to that, if it was you, you'd fucking move here.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah, you wouldn't. So that would never be a limiting factor to you.
No, I'll
if
sleep
you
on- I'll
if
sleep
you
on
need
the couch.
if you need to be in Buenos Aires, you'd
Yeah.
move to Buenos Aires, right?
In a heartbeat. When I started my poker site, I put on a backpack and I left and moved to Malta.
Right, I get it. Right,
I've never heard of Malta.
right.
I booked a one-way flight to Malta. I stayed in a
There you
hotel
go.
room for 2 days, and I moved into an apartment.
It's a whatever it takes mentality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I couldn't care less.
So while you used L.A., New York, that's just because it's that and that's true. But the point is, wherever you are, there's always a best place to live. The
Absolutely.
proximity to people, to the market, and so forth. Right.
But in most categories, you can be anywhere.
Right.
So if you're in real estate, you can be in Alabama and do real
Sure.
estate. Whatever category you're in, niches like fashion, you have to be. Atlanta has a apparel mart. New York, Miami, wherever there's a core,
Got it.
right? You can also work there in bursts, meaning go there for 2-3 months, meet everybody, work everywhere, throw a monthly event, get all the connections, and then go back to Alabama. That's fine too, because now that you can have a digital presence,
Yep.
right?
Makes
So
sense.
the event would help me build my personal brand. It would help me network with all those 80 people. But now I have power. I'm the one on stage.
Authority.
The people that I look up to me now.
Right.
I've flipped the entire script. I'm doing them a favor to come to my event for free.
Okay.
I may even make a $500 ticket price or $200 ticket price and comp everybody just to make an implied value.
Reciprocity. That's
I'm
right.
giving you $200
Sure.
tickets. Hey, here's $5. I'm going to give you $1,000 in tickets, Jordan. Will you come to my event next Sunday?
Got
Much
it.
different discussion, right?
Sure.
I have to make it compelling for you to want to come there. I say, hey, Ty Lopez will be there. Grant's going to be there. Andy Frisella, Ed Milet. They're all going to come over. We're all going to have drinks together. We're all going to eat together. You would come.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I want to meet Andy and Ed. I like those guys. Great. Let's go. Making that compelling now elevates me because I introduced you now to Andy Frisella and Ed Milet and Lewis Howes and Joel Marion. Like, does that make sense?
I love Joel Marion, by the way.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's awesome.
He's my partner in the mastermind we're doing with you.
I know. He's awesome. He's great.
the idea is I'm now bringing people together, and I'm the glue. I'm the connection.
So what do you just say to someone who would say, I'd be nervous. What if people wouldn't show up?
Who cares?
Like,
Who cares?
Will people show up?
Who's gonna know?
No
if they don't show up,
downside.
if they don't show up, they don't know. How do they know?
But will people typically show up? Like,
Oh man, they show
people
up.
right?
But don't do it on the weekend. Don't do Fridays and Saturdays. I want you to do it on Monday night, a Sunday night, a Tuesday night when there's nothing else going on. Don't compete with Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
And then you want to keep having repetition, keep doing it again
once a month is great.
Once a month.
Yeah.
All
If you do it once a week, then there's no scarcity to it.
All right. So now let's go. So then what's the next? How do you monetize that now? How does that start to turn into dollars?
Okay. Well, now if you're in a niche, you can either create an info product, consulting for them. Like,
this is you now. We're
me.
talking about you. Yeah. So now we're talking about Dan.
Yeah.
Now you've got this. You start doing these things,
oh,
right? What's your next step?
I'm gonna start brokering deals.
Explain.
Okay. Andy Frisella, you have First Form Protein. My friend that came to my event, he owns GNC. Let's get your First Form Protein bars into GNC.
Instead of joint ventures.
Yeah. Hey, GNC, I know 5 guys in the protein supplement space. I know all these brands. Let me come consult for you and let me make introductions for you. Hey, protein brands, I work with GNC. It's a chicken and egg thing, but I'm throwing all the chickens at the eggs.
I totally get it. Right.
So I'm brokering deals. I want a core job though. So I want to go to somebody like Andy Frisella and say, hey, let me come work for First Form so I have some kind of guaranteed salary. I want to go meet with GNC and say, hey, let me consult.
But now you're from power now because you're bringing them business.
Right. I want to go to GNC and say, hey, I work for brands like this. Let me consult for you for $5,000 a month. Hey, if I get you any of these deals, let me take 2% or 5% or 4% commission based on these products. At the same time, I'm interacting with everybody.
How many months into it to you getting started? So, okay, so you're 22 years old. How many months now are we into this plan?
1, 2.
You're in your first month, though.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm happy to sell right away. As
Okay,
long as I'm selling something of value.
That's fine. So, okay, so let's say I'll give you the bet. Let's say you're 60 days. You just started. You're already 60. You're knocking it. So what's the next step now? You're at 60. What are you on the 61st day?
More of the same. I'm scaling.
Just keep going and going and going.
I want to build my personal brand. I want to build my network.
And you're putting out content, everything. You're doing
Absolutely.
the whole content thing.
Everything I'm talking about, I'm filming. So if I'm at GNC, I'm filming while I'm there. I'm putting that content out. Now my 400 followers.
Now it makes sense. Okay, right.
My 400 followers see me at GNC. Like, wait a minute. Now they recommend me to their friend that also owns a supplement, or they recommend me to their friend that owns a water company.
It just makes so much sense. I get it. Now
I force myself in.
I get it. And you're memorializing the whole thing. That becomes your content.
Yes.
And next thing you know, you have a ton of followers, right? And how does it work? The whole thing is the ultimate plan for someone to get enough followers that you could get paid for posts, or is that not the important thing really?
Well, there's plenty of people that won't accept money for a post based on their business or product. Like if I offered you $10,000 to post about Red Bull right now, you're not going to.
No.
If I offered you $1 million, you would.
Yeah.
Right. There's a different number.
Right.
So the concept is having those followers does lead to income based on what you do.
But it might not be through advertising. It could just be by being able to sell those people things or influencers, whatever it is. Right?
Like I've turned down, 200 different deals, but I did it. I'm the face of Hertz Rent-A-Car, and I did it for Folgers Coffee. That's the only 2 I've ever done as a paid post. Everybody else that offers me, oh, here's $5,000 or $10,000 for a vodka, I don't do it. Hey, will you post my this or my watch company? I don't do it because it doesn't fit for me. Now, if you're an influencer in a niche, you absolutely should do it, because what happens is if you post for First Form or you post for XYZ water company, the other water companies, the other protein, of course.
Right.
And now you can play it against each other. Now those companies want to pay you. Now Fit Tea wants to pay you, and you say, oh, Happy Tea, why don't you pay me instead? Because they want to pay. Like, inserting yourself into the mix is critical to.
Would you, at a certain point, would you go hire a guy like you to help me, advise me to kind of like, would you go hire someone like that does what you do to say, okay, you have some traction? Or I know maybe not you because you're hard to hire,
Sure.
but so is it worth hiring an expert to help you with that process, or just do it yourself?
So I look at it this way. The reason that mentors work so well, or go buying your direct sales training courses, for example, is you're on level 9 of a video game. And I'm 19 years old on level 1. If I can learn from Jordan Belfort on how to do the straight line sales, I skip because you get to yell down, hey, Dan, jump. There's a bush there.
Right?
Hey, wait, watch out. There's a flood. You can yell down to me about level 1, level 2, level 3. I get to skip right to level 9 to learn from Jordan Belfort.
That's modeling, right? By modeling, so yeah.
So it frustrates me when I see people talking crap about like, oh, you don't need info products, or you don't need to learn this, you don't need to learn that. Every elite athlete has a coach for everything.
Right.
You have a fitness coach, a health coach, a breathing coach, a this coach, a running coach, a this. Like they have 9 different coaches just to play basketball or football or soccer. We all need that in the entrepreneur space. We all need that in the business space. I think the frustration for people is that they're hearing it from people that have never built a business. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that are selling info products that are causing frustration for guys like me and you that have done hundreds of millions of revenue. That's the frustration. You learning from Jordan about sales.
He really knows,
Exactly.
right? Yeah. What about mastermind? You have a mastermind that's unbelievable, which I'm a part of, right?
Yep.
So tell me about the mastermind.
So the 100 million mastermind experience. And so you
guys have to watch this video, by the way. Watch the video, even if you're not ready for this yet, just to see how you wait. This video is so fucking cool, bud. No, seriously. I was like, my guess is that when you say how many people signed up right away for this, it's 100,000 to sign up. I bet you sold the whole thing out
we sold a lot really quickly.
Yeah, but there's a strategy behind that video, right?
Yes, the video is to make compelling points that trigger an emotion. So whether it's 100millionmastermindexperience.com and it's with Joel Marion. Who's
unbelievable.
Yeah, he's got
copywriter, fitness, unbelievable.
Yeah, he's got 19 million people on his email list. He's done 650 million in revenue. So he's my partner in it. So the trigger points are, what would make somebody want to sign up and spend $100,000 to join a mastermind? That's a big decision, right?
Yeah, it is.
Even
anybody.
Right. So we made it for a year, and I looked at what do other masterminds do. Masterminds could be $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $25,000. $25,000 is kind of the sweet spot for most masterminds.
Right.
And I thought about what do they do and what are we going to do different? Well, most of them were in a ballroom. I don't want to be in a ballroom because everybody's in a ballroom. Let's make ours at mansions and make ours at arenas and make ours on yachts. Make ours in creative, unique, luxurious environments.
Right.
What else do? They make it all about them, meaning there's 1 or 2 speakers total. So we went out and got 22 high-level instructors that have all done.
But serious people.
Serious people.
Yeah. You spent a lot of money on it.
Spent millions of dollars to go get a Jordan Belfort, Marcus Lemonis from The Prophet.
Right.
Like, it's expensive.
I get it, right, yeah. So you're creating value. It's not like an illusion. There's massive value, right?
And so a lot of the times, most masterminds are about 1 or 2 people, and I'm making it about the group, okay? The next thing is, how do people get more value on the times that there isn't an event? Because there's only 3 events in the year.
Right.
3 weekends a year. Well, we do a weekly video call because most people do a monthly video call. Why can I do a weekly video call? Because I've got 22 instructors, not 2.
Got it.
See? So the instructors can do 1 or 2 calls, and that takes up the whole year.
Got it.
So I'm doing all the different, I'm looking at, I'll put it this way. In every single company, I never reinvent the wheel. I just want to make the wheel smoother, faster, and stronger.
Yeah, got
it. When I did hoverboards, I sold $5.5 million in hoverboards in 4 months just because I looked at how the other hoverboards screwed up. I make an energy drink.
You have to be crazy not to do that. I don't get that people don't model it. You start with a model.
Of course.
And then you obviously evolve and pivot, but you start with a model
You can learn so much from your competitors, whether you're learning from your competitors from masterminds or how they wrote their books or how they make their energy drinks or poker sites. You can learn from every competitor, especially nowadays. You just Google everything about them. You can see their Yelp reviews. You can see their comments on social media and see what people love or hate about them. If they love it, do that. If they hate it, like if they're complaining, like in the hoverboard space, the big thing people complained about was shipping. They would get it 6 to 8 weeks later. Imagine you bought your kid a hoverboard and he gets it 6 to 8 weeks later. He wouldn't even know what a hoverboard was in 2 months.
Right.
He's like, what the hell? What is this? Right. So we made ours with same day shipping. So you get it within 3 to 5 days. Right.
Yeah.
What was the other problem? Those were all $1,500 to $1,800. That's too expensive. Let's make ours for $700. Much less margin. Who cares? We're going to sell way more of them. Then they didn't have any features. So we added flashy lights to them. We added Bluetooth speakers to them.
So you start with something, but then you look at all the things that, you search them all, the pain points, right? Points of difference, bingo.
Right. I knew that people cared about hoverboards because they were willingly buying them for $1,500 and $1,800.
When you say hoverboard, like you mean like what? Like it like hovers off the ground? Like really?
Not actually hovers.
Yeah, right.
Not like Back to the Future.
Did you see this shit? This guy Zapata racing. You know what I'm talking about? That guy who flies around like on this little.
Oh yeah.
Is that for real or is that a?
It's for real, but it's not meant for people to go on anytime soon.
It's like it looks like the guy from Spider-Man, like the guy like this
Right. We're nowhere near that.
What is that? Is that real video footage of Zapata racing?
Yeah, it's real.
Really?
It's just not real.
But like you might kill yourself in the process.
I'll take the over on might. Yeah, it's not meant for the public anytime soon.
It's not like the thing where, like, I saw Leo, by the way, DiCaprio.
Yeah.
He did this thing he was on, I think, Abramovich's yacht. He did this thing with the water jets on the backpack. And you see that thing? Right, that's there. His thing was like he's actually in the air, like flying around.
Yeah. Now they finally made it where the masses could use it. So a lot of water parks have them. A lot of lakes have them.
Yeah.
But that took 7 years before people were actually able to get on them. Otherwise people were just going to.
But the thing he's got is like he's up like 100 feet in the air, right? That's crazy.
I don't want people to use that yet. No, not yet.
Last question, one more, right? Personal life, right? You're married, you got a beautiful wife, right? So do you have any problem? I know your wife's successful in her own, right? She's got a business, right? So which is always great.
Yes.
My wife's my partner, so she's awesome. She helps me run the business without really, she's amazing.
Me too.
So, but do you have any problems balancing out work and family, or you think it's more bullshit than not? The whole idea, like, if I, like that, I'll lose touch with my family, or I don't have time. They're mutually exclusive, but you could do both.
So I think balance is impossible. I think you do have to set specific times and focus for that. There's a difference between being in the room and being present. Meaning,
probably my biggest fault.
Yeah, there's plenty of times where you're with your wife, or you're with your kids, or you're with your family, but you're living inside of your phone, or you're on your phone calls. Like, you're still living inside your phone. So I try to force scenarios or force situations where that's not happening.
So you want to have less but quality time.
Yeah. But then I try to tie her in. For example, let's just use the wife as the example. Same thing applies for kids or whatever you have. I tie her in. So she's helping me with First Form. She's helping me with these different brands. If I go to speak at events, if I'm traveling for more than a couple of days, she'll come with me.
Right,
if I only go for one day, she's not going to go.
Right, same exactly.
Why waste the time?
Right.
I try to include her in those things. I'm making sure that mentally I'm posting about her on social media. I'm making her come with me these things. And it's not that I need to, like hold her hand through this process. She knew what she was getting into marrying an entrepreneur like me 5 years ago. Sorry, we dated 4 or 5 years ago, but marrying me a year ago.
Right.
She knew going in. So if I say, like I said this morning, I'm going to see Jordan, and I have this meeting, that meeting, she's like, okay, see you tomorrow. Like, she understands that I could leave tomorrow, and I might get on a plane and go to New York tomorrow and leave for a week.
And there's a trust level there that like my
mandatory.
Wife, yeah, of course, right. Without that, it's just insane. Yeah.
No, let me put it this way: if you're in a relationship where you guys are checking each other's phones, or you're freaking out, or you're questioning why did this guy like your post,
end it quickly.
Just stop.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
And it's going to impact your business negatively, right?
For sure, because when bad stuff does happen in personal life with wife, kids, etc., just like with your health, everything shuts down. If all of a sudden you're in the hospital, everything shuts down. So I'm preventative of all of that, and I'm aware of all of it in advance. So I'm making it clear, like, if I'm in public, I give a one-arm hug to a girl. So nobody's going to say, oh, this girl did this. If I'm on social media, I'm not commenting, oh, this girl's hot. That I do the things that are cognitive to me, and I'm aware of my situation to prevent things like that. If I know that if she's getting frustrated, like I'm gone for 4 days in a row, let's go here for a week, or let's go here for 2 days, or let's go to dinner. Like, being aware and having communication is the biggest killer. So what happens is people bottle things up. And then when it finally comes to a head, it's a huge explosion that could have been taken care of in advance. It could have been taken care of along the way. I have to
cut you off. So guys, I'm tempted to turn this episode into a product we could sell. Scott, it's like $10,000. It's at least $1,000 info product you just created.
Yeah, just swipe up.
Seriously, swipe up. Hey, wow. Keep going. So I just have to say that you really have given. I've learned a lot of stuff from asking you questions, by the way, and
which is crazy for me to hear because I've looked up to you for so long.
No,
so it's
I gotta say, man, and if you listen to this episode here. It's like honestly, it's like a tutorial for any person of how to be really successful. Not just to the influence. There's so much. It's so rich. All the stuff here. I didn't want to cut you off, but I'm just like I'm amazed. Like, let me just give you one because we're over here. One more question. Just closing thought, right? Because this was honestly, it was like an info product you created. But closing thought, sum it all up to everybody about just I think I want this podcast to be about wealth and success, but empowered life and funny too. But give me just a closing thought here about to anybody who's maybe not doing that well right now, or that is just living an average life, but they know that they're capable of more. They sort of they've once thought so. Maybe they're feeling a bit like they're quite there. But what would you say to anybody like that? What's the path forward? The first step.
So the biggest thing is we live in a time, 2019, 2020, that you have more access than ever in history. If you're listening to this podcast, you have an electronic device that's magical. 20 years ago, this electronic device would have cost you millions of dollars and years to build.
Right.
Now it's in your pocket, right? Because of that, you have access to the world. So even if you live in the outskirts of Alabama and I grew up on a family with 24 grand a year for a family of 4. So if you live with 24 grand a year, that's in LA. You live with 24 grand in Alabama and you don't have any access to money and you have a cell phone, you have ways to make money.
But where were you born, by the way?
I was born in Riga, Latvia.
Latvia.
But we moved here when I was 6 months old.
Right, got it, okay.
But my whole life, from all the way through high school, we literally had 20 to 25 grand a year type salary for the 4 of us. So living in San Diego and Los Angeles, think about that.
Right.
I had to work. But the point is, for people nowadays, you have access to everything. When I was building my companies, I couldn't call on the owner of Costco. Now you can tweet at him.
Crazy.
I can go on LinkedIn and find the owners of Costco right this second. I had to go phone call, drive there, show up, knock on the door, and build personal relationships, take them out to dinner. You can message them on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn in the next 10 seconds while I'm talking. Like the point of it is, even if you're feeling frustrated or you don't know what to do, you have access to so much information. You have access to the whole planet, and none of it's expensive. You can learn things on YouTube for so cheap. You can learn things from all your competitors in any industry for free. You can just dive into it. And then when you find something, you can learn from key instructors in whatever category you want.
All for free. It's just nuts, right?
It really is.
I always say, like, that, taking it back to the stock market, like, if you just buy a stock on someone's word now and don't investigate it yourself,
right?
It's like every bit of information you need to make an investment is out there.
I can know if the CEO's happy with his wife
it's
now.
Crazy.
Like, I can know if they have 2 kids and what their address is. Like, I can know everything about any public company executive in seconds.
Please give me if people watching that want to find out more about you, what's the easiest way?
Every social media platform is just at Dan Fleyshman, Fleyshman.
We'll put up a graphic for that on
and
here
then,
too. Right?
And then for you guys, it's important. Every social media platform should be the same screen name, same bio.
At Dan how do you spell it?
Fleyshman. Yeah, contenting all there. And then for the charity, it's modelcitizenfund.org. For the book, it's buythisbook.com. You can put in a free code called Elevator. Just put in the free code Elevator. You can get the ebook for free. Yeah, I mean, that's my life.
Dude,
pleasure. This is so much fun.
You are an inspiration, and you are an amazing first guest. And thank you for pushing me to do a podcast.
I'm glad you're doing it. It's awesome.
All right, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks.